What's happening here with Dylan Lendenkamp? This is Seth Peak with Peak Realty and Peak Painting in Atascadero. What's up, Dylan?
How's it going, Seth?
Dylan's with Harper Home. You might have seen him on the last video we've done with him. We figured, we just did a little workout here in the shop and we jump on here and do a little video on red flags in home inspecting and maybe a crazy story or two.
For sure.
So how's it going?
Good. Yeah, great.
You staying busy?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Usually, summertime's my busy season. Usually about, end of April, May to August is usually pretty cranking. So
even in this market, we're staying pretty busy here.
Yeah,
on the coast.
People still been buying. I mean, honestly, kept thinking it was going to kind of slow down, and just there's so many out of town buyers, people with cash, that the interest rates aren't really affecting it a huge amount because people with cash, obviously, they don't care if they're not getting a mortgage. So
for sure. And we've been working together. I think maybe a couple of years between my wife and myself. And luckily, I don't think we've had any red flags on any properties that we've done. I've heard some crazy stories from even new construction. What exactly is like the first thing you look for that's like a dead giveaway that the rest is going to be like shot?
I would say the big things I'm always looking for is those costly items. So like for me, it's foundation and roofs are two big ones. As far as overall condition of the home, you can it's almost like a gut feeling. You've done enough homes, you can just start seeing certain things where you kind of get an idea what the rest of the home's going to be like. A lot of times I would say I see that on flips a lot. So flips instantly, as soon as I see that it's been flipped, I'm already, kind of on high alert of like, okay, this person brought this property to make some money, so where did they maybe cut some corners? And usually when you start finding a couple corners cut, usually the deeper you dig, the more and more that you find. So a lot of times you can tell, the condition of a home just by, again, what was the property used for, and then just the overall kind of, hey, you can tell the outside, inside, just through a quick walkthrough of was this person properly maintaining it? Did they take pride in ownership? Was it like, hey, this is my primary residence and I care about this? Or, hey, was this a rental or a flip and I'm just here to make money and I don't care about, upkeep in it?
Well, the flips in general too is like, recently, we were on a job site and they were flipping it and they had, taken all the old drywall off.
Yeah.
But they didn't clean out like the studs. So there was like, feces from like rats and like old sawdust and old nasty insulation, and they put fresh drywall over it. Yeah. And you're like, oh, come on, man. But that's something you're not going to catch.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Sometimes you get a house flipper that's just low budget wanting to turn a profit. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. So I can only imagine with the systems too, try to do as cheap as possible sometimes.
For sure. And a lot of times it's in that attention to detail. I mean, I have done some flips where you can tell, hey, this contractor ever did this, care, they wanted to do a good job. And then you get some horror stories. Like I just did a flip here in Atascadero about a month or two back, and it was like just horrendous. They had foundation issues, roof leaks, the heater was completely shot. They redid a laundry room and moved it, and they never added a dryer exhaust vent, so there was nowhere to hook up your dryer. Like that's the kind of things where like I saw that and you're already like, okay, like there's not attention to detail here. They were just blowing and going, and that's the kind of stuff where you start getting kind of, the red flags, like, okay, what other things did they just, hey, we just want to get this done.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah. And 2 years ago, we were having a lot of buyers just waiving their inspections, waiving their contingent, like no inspection, just because they wanted to do a cash deal, quick close.
Yeah.
And we're finding, a lot of those people, they're calling us, as our other business with the painting company, we're going there to work on it. And they're telling us all these other things that were wrong with the house that they wish they knew.
For sure.
But they didn't do the home inspection because they were pressured to get the house bought so quickly.
Yeah.
And now we have more of the luxury. We're in 2023. Is the houses are on the market a little bit longer. You can actually do a 30-day escrow. You're not competing for a ton of different offers most of the time. Yeah. Over a certain price point, and so the home inspection is definitely something I always recommend to my sellers and my buyers. I want you to tell me also a story about you were working somewhere where it was either a tract or like a brand new construction home. Yeah. And there was like the plumbing wasn't glued together.
Yeah. So this was a tract here in Atascadero. I won't mention where, but I'm doing the house, and so far, things are all right. And I get upstairs, and the builder actually had just showed up on site, and I could see the vanity on the one side's all swollen from like water damage, and I'm like, uh-oh. And so I open up the vanity underneath, and it's completely wet underneath. The whole vanity's swollen, and I go get my infrared camera and shoot it, and you can see where all the moisture is at. And it looks like what had happened was when they installed the drywall, especially because those newer homes are all PEX, so it's just the plastic supply lines, that one of the drywallers had put a screw through the supply line, and it had been leaking. It was on a second story. It had been leaking for a while. The builder was unaware, so I kind of showed it to him, and they had to pull out the vanity, rip open the drywall. It was quite a bit of repairs.
That's a brand new
and
house.
That's a brand new house, and that's the thing I always tell clients, for the most part, brand new houses don't always obviously have those crazy things, but you would be surprised at stuff. I found roof leaks, I found missing flashing on roofs. It's like there's things that get missed in new construction. At the end of the day, again, they're there to make money, they're blowing and going, and not every building contractor or company has those checks and balances where they have that quality control.
Right. And then in terms of, we were talking briefly earlier about like modular homes, and I know a lot of people when they're buying them, they get that shit, but when you're selling them, people don't always spring for the, $500, $600 it costs to have an inspection done. But typically, in my experience with modular, mobile, and manufactured homes, is they can have worse issues than a stick frame traditional home.
For sure.
Just because of the, the building materials that they're made out of, they don't last as many decades as a regular house. And so, especially in the crawl space underneath the home, it can be more of a gamble.
100%. Yeah. Manufactured homes, they're obviously really popular because they are, a more affordable price point. But I think that's the most important ones to get inspected. I tell people, they're not like a stick-built home. They have a little bit more of kind of a shelf life. Again, they're not built with the same materials, the same qualities and standards. So you really have to watch those manufactured homes. They also have quite a few more pitfalls like aluminum wiring, certain supply piping that can be a nightmare that they didn't really use in regular homes, but they were allowed to use in manufactured homes for a little bit. So.
Right. That's big. That's a big deal. And they're also put together on site, and hopefully, they're put together correctly. And sometimes when they're brand new as well, they're the same kind of thing where there could be something that's a little bit off or more settled.
For sure. And you also, too, with manufactured homes, you get a lot, I've noticed you get a lot more deferred maintenance because a lot of times, too, especially if it's, an older individual living there and they're not as mobile and they can't be kind of keeping up on that maintenance.
Yeah,
you find a lot
crawling under the sink and looking.
Exactly, which I don't blame them, but it's like you just get more of that deferred stuff where it's like, oh man, nothing's really been touched for 20 years and so needs some work kind of deal.
And then one last thing too is that you also offer a side service that's part of your service, but it's an add-on, is the sewer scoping. Because a lot of people don't know that your sewer is basically, you own the line all the way to the city if it's on city. Obviously if you're on septic you own the whole thing, but how often have you seen major issues with that if you hadn't done the sewer scope, they would have bought the house and then found out like 2 months later that they had a problem?
Yeah, totally. No, I definitely find issues a lot. Now, I like to tell clients is statistically, you kind of have certain things to look for where you're going to be more likely to have an issue. One is the age of the home. If you start getting before about 75, you can have nasty materials like clay, pipe, Orangeburg, cast iron. So the older the home, and then also too, just the layout of the house. So like if your lateral's running through the front yard and you've got a massive oak tree right about where that lateral runs and it's got roots that can pop that line, again, certain indicators like that make me kind of, hey, I recommend that you get this looked at. That way you just know the condition, because no home's immune to it. I did almost a $2 million place in Morro Bay. It was a 2007 build PVC pipe and they had root intrusion near the street. So it's one of those things, it's like no house is immune to problems. And even with septic, a lot of people are unaware that a septic company, they come, they pump the tank, they inspect the tank, but they don't inspect that lateral line. So that line that runs from your home to that tank could have issues and you can be unaware of it until it backs out.
Gotcha. Like I said, I always recommend sellers and buyers get a home inspection. Obviously definitely buyers, but if our sellers can do it, can swing the cost, it's definitely worth it for $500 to $700, whatever the size of the home is.
For sure.
So like I 100% always say just get it done, because you never know what you're getting, and you never know what you're selling sometimes. And then also as a seller, you kind of take the power out of the buyer's hands by them finding something. You can say like, oh yeah, we have these issues, or yeah, oh, we solved these issues. Here's our inspection. Here's what we fixed. And it makes them feel less sketchy, and they might not try to lowball you as much if they know right off the bat, like you have these issues, you fixed them, or at least they're out in the open, right?
For sure. And you can definitely like get ahead of that problem, because another thing I see with buyers is, they're finding an issue and then they try to find the most expensive contractor to bid a huge price, to get that deduction. You can get ahead of that, like, hey, we already have a quote from X, Y, and Z to get it fixed, and make your offer accordingly. Obviously.
Sure. Well, man, thanks for coming through. We had a great workout this morning, and looking forward to our next chat and next time we hang out.
For sure. Thanks,
All right.
Ed.
See ya. Hey, this is Seth. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be happy to see you on the next video. Talk to you soon.